What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Spanko, and today I'm back with another post BANLIST deck profile. Now this is pure Orcust, but it's actually a pure going second build of Orcust. So this build definitely does want to go second. You can obviously go first and still make plays. Like, this deck is still very playable going first, which is why I actually really like this build, because going first, making the Orcust combo is not very difficult, but going second, you can break your opponent's boards really easily and actually just borrow sword OTK like fairly easily, to be honest with you. So that's what this deck aims to do. It is a 45 card main deck, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have the deck list on the Discord. If you guys don't know, I put all my deck lists to all my deck profiles in the Discord, which I will link in the description below. So you guys need to check that out in the description. I go on the Discord, we have theories, we talk about decks and how to build, and if you guys have your own ideas, put them in there. Also, if you guys have any suggestions with these deck profiles, like I always say, put them in the comment section below or put them in the Discord and we can talk about it. If you guys like these post-ban list deck profiles, let me know by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers, guys, and 2020 is on the way. We're like 2 months away, and my goal for the year was 2,500 subs for the year. So hopefully we can get to 2,500 subs. Thank you guys for all your support. And if you guys want to see more of these post-ban list deck profiles, which I have a lot, let me know in the comment section down below that you guys want to see more and what you guys want to see. I have a lot coming for you guys. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so don't worry, there's a lot coming out for you guys. I just have a lot of things to do, but I promise you guys all these deck profiles will come out. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. So pure going second Orcust, you have to play triple Orcust Harp Horror. I know some people wanted to play 2 before. I think you needed it at 3. It's the best one. On top of it being the best one, you actually need a good normal summon now with Orcust because you want to go straight into Galatea. Unfortunately, Mermaid is banned, obviously. So Harp Horror is probably one of the best ones. Double Nightmare, I think this is still very important. You still need to play double. I would not up it to 3. I wanted to, and in testing, I actually upped it to 3 and tried playing Dark Grepher. But the problem is, it was just so inconsistent seeing it together that I just decided, you know what, 1 or 2 of these is enough without the Dark Grepher, because it's just better. Seeing 3 of these, like seeing it in your opening hand, is not great. It's just a good extender. It's a good discard card, I guess, like if you have the Grepher, but I don't want to be putting myself in situations where I can open this or I open multiple of these and they're dead, right? So I wanted this deck to be as consistent as possible. So double Orcust Nightmare, as well as double Symbol Skeleton. Now, I know a lot of people used to play just 1 Symbol Skeleton. I actually play 2 now in the pure. And the reason for that is because, like I said, you do need a good Orcust normal summon now so that you can get into your Galatea. Because a lot of the time what you'll do is you special summon a monster. And because you're playing Go Second variant in this one, you will be playing like Mind Control and whatnot. So you can Mind Control your opponent's monster. And then essentially you want to normal summon an Orcust monster, which is either Harp or Symbol now, so that you can get your plays going, right? And this way, even if they hit you with a Lancia, you can actually play around Lancia, right? So that's why I do enjoy the double Symbol Skeleton. And then we round it all off with 1 World Legacy World Wand. I'm pretty sure this is standard. I think it's probably the best card to play as a 1-of. It's a good extender. It helps you when you open these cards or other ways to dump these cards. It helps you extend and actually helps you push for the Borrow Sword to OTK your opponent. So 1 World Wand, definitely necessary in this deck. For our other normal summons that are not Orcust monsters, we are playing 1 Armageddon Knight. It's obviously really good. It's a normal summon that just dumps any dark monster, so it dumps anything you need here into the graveyard. It's also pretty good because in the sense that when you're going second, you usually just bait out all your opponent's negates and or you get over your opponent's board. So this is pretty much going through like 99% of the time. And then on top of that, this card is kind of stupid expensive now, so I only have 1 of them, and that's Scrap Recycler. It's actually just another Armageddon Knight for the archetype, so that's why you just play 3 Scrap Recycler. It's just when this card normal or special summon, you can send the machine monster from your deck to the graveyard. The second effect doesn't ever come up, but like it's literally just another Armageddon Knight. But this card is kind of stupid expensive right now. I don't have 3, so unfortunately, guys, I'm proxying. I'm sorry for that. But definitely triple Scrap Recycler. I will be picking up 2 more. I plan on playing this deck eventually. So triple Scrap Recycler, definitely really good. It just makes basically 4 Armageddon Knights for the deck. And then I am playing a little danger package, double Nessie, double Jack, and double Tsuchinoko. I think this is pretty standard. I didn't want to play the dangers originally. I wanted to actually cut them out and play different extenders, but I decided that playing the dangers, especially through testing, is just a lot better in the sense that if you open your Nightmare or a World Wand, if you Tsuchinoko or Jack, whatever, one of the dangers, and they actually hit your Nightmare or your World Wand or your Symbol or your Harp, whatever it is, it gets your plays really, really going because this is going to get you a draw. And on top of that, I know the RNG kind of sucks, but the thing is with the RNG is these always guarantee you a monster on the board. So this is why I decided to play this ratio. I think they're cool ratios. I think that's the best ratio in my opinion. Other cards you can play other extenders, but I'll show you cards in this deck that actually act as extenders, which is why I still decided to play the dangers. And for the going second cards, I am playing double Dino Wrestler Prankatrops. I don't want to play 3 because seeing 2 of them kind of sucks. Like I did play 3 in previous builds, but when you play 3, I think I played 50 cards in that as well. Double Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha. Now the Vishuddha is really good going first or second. So going first, it's just a free special summon, which is what I'm talking about with the dangers. If you don't open a danger, the Tenyi Spirit Vishuddha essentially acts as a monster that you can just special summon, so you can normal summon one of your Orcust monsters. Now again, you want to blind second pretty much every time with this deck, but if your opponent does make you go first, Vishuddha is definitely a really good card going first as well. It's not that you can't cut it, because if you control no monsters, you can literally just special summon this card. So it's a free summon in that sense. And then going second is obviously really good because it baits out either negates or you just bounce a card your opponent controls, which is really good. So double Vishuddha, double Prankatrops. Essentially, these are your going second cards as well as your hand traps. And obviously, the best hand trap in the game right now is Nibiru. Triple Nibiru, the primal being. A lot of decks, especially the Orcust variants, cannot play around this or have a very difficult time playing around this. So triple Nibiru, very good card in this deck. Obviously, one of the best hand traps in the game, as well as triple Ash Blossom. Again, this card should be pretty accessible to everyone, so it's not very expensive. And triple Ash Blossom is just the most generic hand trap that you guys can play, and it hits pretty much 70%, I think, mathematically, of all the cards in the game. So like triple Ash Blossom, insanely good. Now the one hand trap that is kind of expensive that I am playing, and I know it's a trap card, it's not a monster, but I'm gonna put it with the other hand traps, is triple Infinite Impermanence. I know Infinite Impermanence is an expensive card. If you guys want to pick up some cheaper alternatives, you can just play Effect Veiler, to be completely honest with you. They do the same thing. The only reason I play the Imperm is because going first, it gives you some utility where you can set the Imperm and then you can lock out one of the zones your opponent uses for their back row. Another thing is like Imperm can't be called by the grave, which is why it's a little bit, I guess, better, you could say. The thing is, Imperm is not that high impact this format, in my opinion. If you do Imperm in the mirror match, you Imperm like the Scarp Recycler or the Armageddon Knight. That's also pretty good as well. If your opponent doesn't have a extender, they kind of just lose there. So that's why the Infinite Impermanence is really good. But again, Effect Veiler does pretty much the same thing. It just Effect Veiler loses to Call by the Grave. But that's it for the monster counts as well as the hand traps, and I guess we could say like the literal hand traps, even though I would usually count these as trap cards, but you know what I mean, hand traps. And that's it for going second Orcust in the main like monster / hand trap ratio. Okay, so going on to the spell cards, we are playing for the Orcust cards, you are playing one Babble and one Return. Now Return is a card that you don't have to play, but I actually choose to play this because if you do open up with any of your Orcust monsters that you actually don't need, or something like a Nightmare where you can't really normal summon it or anything, then using the Return is really good. It also replaces Mermaid, because a lot of the time what you would do if you open like an Orcust monster or a World Wand, you can actually just use Mermaid to pitch it to summon the Nightmare from deck. But because you don't have Mermaid anymore, it's actually a really good card to get those Orcust monsters out of your hand and into the graveyard. And then obviously draw 2 is like never bad. Honestly, sometimes your opponent might just negate this because they don't want you to draw 2, they don't want you to get something into the graveyard, even though I'm pretty sure the send is cost. So regardless if this gets negated, you still send your Orcust or World Legacy from your hand to the graveyard. And even if it's negated, you don't get the draw 2, but you get it in the graveyard, which is really good, right? So Orchestrated Return, I think, is really good one of. It also gives you another option for Galatea to search, and then obviously Babel. Triple Mind Control. I think Mind Control is one of the best cards in this deck. If you mind control your opponent's monster, and this is really good in the format now because I personally think that Thunder Dragon is going to be one of the best decks in the format. So being able to mind control your opponent's Colossuses and then link them off is insanely good. Other things that you can mind control is something like the Sky Striker monsters. The Sky Striker monsters are obviously really good to mind control because you can mind control it, then normal summon your Harp Horror, normal summon the Simple Skeleton, and then just make your Galatea straight from there. So that's why I think mind control is one of the best cards in this deck. It's literally just, it's an extender. Like mind control is an extender in this deck. So that's why you want to play 3 of. Another 3 of is Instant Fusion. You have 2 targets in the extra deck for this. It's both Thousand Eyes and Winda. If your opponent makes you go first, I don't know if you guys know the Winda combo, but essentially it's like your regular Orcust combo, but then when you make Dingirsu, you just protect the window with Dingirsu at the end phase instead of it getting destroyed. So now you have Winda as basically a floodgate on your opponent's turn. So if you're going first, Instant Fusion, you summon Winda. If you're going second, Instant Fusion, summon Thousand Eyes, and then you can obviously steal one of your opponent's monsters, and then from there, you just basically outed something your opponent had, and you can continue from there. So triple Instant Fusion is probably one of the best cards to open up, and it's very consistent in my opinion. Like this is one of the better cards in the deck. Then for other spell cards is I'm maining double Twin Twister. Twin Twister is pretty good. I know Cyclone is something that people talk about a lot right now because in Orcust mirror matches, your opponent can just Dingirsu detach to protect off the Cyclone, which I mean off the Twisters, which is really kind of like iffy. But the thing is, Twisters does hit more decks and it's more versatile against the Sky Striker matchup, the Altergeist matchup, the True Draco matchup. Like Twin Twister is just better in that sense in my opinion, which is why I decided to play this over the Cyclones, because other than the mirror match, this hits other decks just better, if that makes sense. So that's why double Twin Twisters in the main deck I think is really good. One Monster Reborn, it's just an extender, like I said. Also in the late game, this card is insanely good. Top decking this is, I mean, how it can't be bad unless your opponent can negate it. Top decking this is really good. It can get you back right into the game. So Monster Reborn. One Foolish Burial, obviously one of the better cards in the deck. You can Foolish any of your Orcust monsters essentially, and you're in a really good position. So Foolish Burial and extender, really. And for the last card, I am playing one Orcust Crescendo. Obviously, I mean, you play this, you can have one Crescendo, one Return, as well as one Babble for you to search off of Galatea. So the thing is, Galatea does help you deck thin a little bit more in this deck, whereas I know the Cyber Dragon Orcust variants and all the older Orcust variants usually just play the Crescendo, whereas now playing these is just better, because playing these is like, now you can search more, you can get into your deck a little bit more, and you don't have to be just shuffling Galatea into your deck to get nothing out of it. Now you can shuffle Galatea for return, and if you have playing with no cards in your hand, you can send your Galatea from the field to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, right? So in a sense like that, like Crescendo plus these are actually really good. And that's it for the main deck. Going off to the extra deck, I think the extra deck is pretty standard. I am playing triple Galatea. I think in pure you need to be playing triple Galatea, and I think I should get my hands on Altis, to be honest. But triple Galatea, I think in pure is definitely the way to go. It's one of the better cards. You want to keep making this in pure. And the other variants you could get away with too, because you have other plays, but with this deck is like you really want to make Galatea. One Long Girsu, you still don't want to play more than one of these, because it only comes up situationally, and when it does come up, it is obviously really good, but you just don't want to like play multiple of these. I also play double Dingirsu, again, one of the better cards in the deck, literally one of the cards that made the deck meta. I mean, without this card, I don't know what this deck would be. But double Dingirsu, really, really good. You don't need more than double. You just keep recurring it. Playing triple is just overkill in my opinion, so double is more than enough. And then for other Link monsters, I am playing one Boral Sword, one Boral Load. Boral Load's actually really good. It's a card that came out of the extra deck for a while, but now it's back into the extra deck because it's really good against Thunder Dragon, and honestly, like, Thunder Dragon is probably one of the better decks in this format, so Boral Load against Thunder Dragon is insanely good. Topologic Trizbana is really good as well, because back row decks, you can really make this super easily with Orcust, so being able to Trizbana on your opponent's turn with your Babble is an insanely good play in my opinion. Nightmare Phoenix, you don't play Cerberus, and obviously you don't play Mermaid. I don't play Cerberus because you don't need it anymore. You would play it before to make your Mermaid, but now you don't really want to make Mermaid, so I mean, you can't make Mermaid, so Nightmare Phoenix is just good enough in my opinion. One Monk of the Tenyi. Monk of the Tenyi is for the Tenyi play. Like I said, you summon your Tenyi, you make Monk, you banish your Tenyi so that you can bounce a card your opponent controls to their hand, which is why Monk of the Tenyi is really, really good. Then I play, obviously, like I said, the Winda, as well as a Thousand Eyes Restrict for the instant fusion targets. Really good in the extra deck, obviously, like I explained these earlier. Going second, this is what you make. Going first, this is what you make. Now, you would honestly play a Link Karibo for the Thousand Eyes, but I realized like you're not really gonna need to do that, because once you make Thousand Eyes, you can normal summon like one of your Orcust monsters and then just go off into your plays without making Link Karibo, in my opinion. And Link Karibo just took up an extra monster spot. So what I decided to do instead is I decided to play Violet Chimera as well as Starving Venom, because in the side deck we play Super Poly, and Salamangreat Great never got hit on the ban list, and it's probably going to be one of the better decks this format just because it's so consistent. There's no hands Salamangreat Great has where they can't play, right? They're always live. So being able to Super Poly into Violet Chimera is obviously really good. And then the mirror match, which is actually very prevalent, gonna probably be, because Orcust is probably gonna be one of the better decks in the format as well. I think it's gonna be like Thunder Dragon, Orcust, Salamangreat, and like Striker is probably going to be the top 4 in my opinion. So with that, like obviously against Thunder Dragon as well as Orcust, Starving Venom is really, really good. So these two are for the Super Poly targets, obviously really good cards, and that's it for the extra deck. It is a 15 card extra deck. Going off to our side deck now, I am playing double Gameciel. Gameciel is one of those things where it's really good going second as well. You can out opponents' big boards or negates or whatever. So Gameciel is one of those cards, really good against Thunder Dragon, amazing against Sky Striker, obviously, right? So Gameciel is really good in that sense. Triple Lancia. Lancia in the mirror match and or against Thunder Dragon is probably really, really good. I mean, not probably really, really good. It is really, really good. Obviously, it shuts down a lot of those plays. If you Lancia your opponent, they kind of just pass, I think, in my opinion, against Thunder Dragon, like in testing. You Lancia your opponent, they just kind of pass, and then you can just kind of Boral Sword OTK them right there. Same thing with the mirror match. If they can't make a good board, Lancia is insanely good. Also, I should mention Gameciel is really, really good against Salamangreat, because the reason for that is if you Gameciel your opponent's like Sunlight Wolf and they don't have another Link monster on the field, their Roar becomes pretty much dead, and their Rage now becomes like a neg for them instead of just, you know, the free pops. So that's why Gameciel is really good against the Salam matchup. It's also really good against the mirror match, because if your opponent ends on one Galatea and a Crescendo, you can just Gameciel the Galatea, and now Crescendo is absolutely dead, right? So Gameciel is really good in that sense as well. Like I said, triple Super Poly obviously outs pretty much everything in the meta right now, which is why you play it with the extra deck that we're obviously playing. I'm playing the third Twin Twister against more back row Subterra Guru decks. Obviously, you need to play the third in my opinion. Triple Dimensional Barrier, something I actually really, really like, because Pendulum is making a resurgence in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of Pendulum, and honestly, going going first against Pendulum or Thunder Dragon, Dimensional Barrier is just, again, like on auto win, right? So the reason I played this is because if your opponent knows or realizes you're playing a going second deck, they're gonna force you to go first game 2. And what happens is if they force you to go first, you now have Dimensional Barriers and it helps you essentially go first. Obviously, you still have your Orcust plays, which is why I think this card is insanely good, because you just take out the cards like Pankratops and whatnot, you put these in, and now you still have your full Orcust combo, but then with an extra Dimensional Barrier set, your opponent just kind of passes. If you're playing against Pendulum and you go standby phase and you go Dimensional Barrier, call Pendulum, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna do anything. Same thing with Thunder Dragon, you call Fusion, what are they gonna do, right? So Dimensional Barrier is insanely good in that sense. And then the last card, this is kind of up to whatever you guys want to play in my opinion, but I decided to play Judgment. Again, if your opponent forces you to go first, Judgment is one of the best cards to put in. Obviously, like, Judgment is just a negate, right? So like this card literally says no. So the thing with Judgment is if you're forced to go first, you can just set these and sit on them. And the thing is, like, these are pretty much good against every matchup, right? So if you need another option for going first, Solemn Judgment is one of these cards. Again, another option you could play is evenly matched. You can even play more like back row removal if you guys want to see. Like, it's really up to you what you guys want to play. Maybe a third Pankratops, whatever you guys want to play. But I personally thought Judgment was one of the better cards. If your opponent forces you to go first, like, these are what I side against certain matchup, but like these and these are pretty much mostly what I side in, right? So when you're going first, like, you have options for both going first and going second in this side deck. So that's it for the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to see more post ban lists, of course, you guys gotta let me know in the comment section down below. Also, like I said earlier, check out the Discord where we talk about these things. We talk about new Yu-Gi-Oh news. We talk about, you know, deck theory, deck building, suggestions, what have you guys done in your day, like literally the most random stuff. It's just a big Discord community, and that's what I want to do. I want to make this more of a community more than just a Yu-Gi tuber telling you guys what to play and what not to play. And let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. Obviously, I'm always open to suggestions. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and with that, guys, Spanko signing out. Peace.
My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit.